Nick was a great worker. He really took a shit gimmick and made it work. That takes real talent. I love the gimmick myself. Hey, Nick, I know you've talked about this when we interviewed you, not live, like a long time ago. Will you give your thought on being Eugene? And for the people that say that, like, Eugene ruined your career or whatever, like a Jim Cornette or whoever else says that.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that I was the one that presented the character, and it was Rip that gave me the idea for the character.
Right.
You know, Rip said, what do you think about a character that might not be able to put a square peg in a square hole, might not be able to tie his shoes right, but when he gets in the ring and the bell rings, he can do everything perfectly because he saw it on TV like Rain Man, Idiot Savant. And I presented that idea probably for a year and a half, and the agents for WWE didn't know. Wrestling's gone beyond that. We're more reality-based now. Okay. The writers came down. I pitched it to the writers. They said, no. Vince would never go for that. He wouldn't do anything like that. Okay. I saw a lot of the guys in the developmental complain and then get called up to the main roster. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So I told Doug Basham, I think I'm going to quit and go to Japan. I didn't know anybody in Japan. I don't know how to get there. Doug told that to Dean Malenko. Dean told that to Johnny Ace. Next thing I know, February of 2004, I'm sitting in a meeting with Vince McMahon, and Stephanie was there. Vince goes, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And I just pitched that character out. At that time, Steve Austin walks in. He'd come back to film something. Walks in Vince's office. Vince goes, Steve, you ever seen this guy wrestle? He goes, no, I don't think so. I said, real quickly, I said, Danny. Steve goes, well, he's probably one of the best. And then Vince goes, all right, we'll start on Monday. We didn't actually start the next Monday, but that was the vote of confidence that I got to do the character that got me on TV. Nick Dinsmore as a wrestler probably wouldn't have made it to WWE TV, and it would have been boring. I needed something a little more.
Love it. That's what it...
Okay. Hey.
Go ahead.
When Nick, you had been at OVW, what, 10 years?
I started in 96. I got hired by WWE in 99, and I got called up on TV in May of 04.
Okay. So a long time. And I don't think you were ever going to get called up. And I weighed into that because the short, what do you call it, mediatric rise of Eugene, you had segments with Vince, The Rock, everybody, right?
Sure.
And you could have been an underneath guy, been there 20 years, do whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you wouldn't have made the money. You wouldn't have got the notoriety, the satisfaction of being a fucking star.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that when I'd take you out of the box, if you did, it'd be hard to go back to being Eugene, but it's better to live the goddamn life and have some kind of something that you did to son of a bitch. And you did it. So, but you was taking a chance on that. Because if not, you could have been sitting there for another 20 goddamn years. Didn't matter how good you are or were or whatever. At the time, they didn't give a shit about wrestling. So you took the ball and you ran with it. You did some great shit in there, and you got memories that very few people can have, and fuck everybody. So how's that?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I was like, he was Nick Dinsmore, an awesome wrestler forever, and didn't get really a sniff for the main roster. And I don't think people, unless you've said it elsewhere, I don't think people really understand it was like you're the one that presented it. Like they're always like, oh, WWE gave him this shitty gimmick. Well, not really. I mean, they weren't letting him on TV, so he presented a gimmick, and that's what got you where you were. I don't know.
Eugene was a top guy. The minute that I did the segment with The Rock, the people saw Eugene totally differently. All of a sudden, I was a superstar. I was made. If it was the Mafia, I'd be a made man at that point. And what Shawn Michaels told me one time, he goes, once you're over, you're always over.
That's right.
I can go back right now and star on WWE.
Yeah, I'm going to clip that together. We're going to send it right to Vince.
Yeah, package it, send it to him and Triple H, everybody. Hot off the press.
Big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold and rubber band wrap, and when it pops.